Everyone, and thank you for being here today. We are diving into a critical challenge faced by many organizations: how to prevent costly BI reporting errors, and how intelligent automation can help rebuild trust in data. In this session, brought to you by Narwal and Tricentis, we will explore real world challenges, proven solutions, and the transformative role of automation in BI validation. With that, I am pleased to hand it over to Arul, Vice President and Global Head of Quality Engineering at Narwal, to kick off this session. Over to you, Arul.
Hey, thanks, Ganesh. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. As Ganesh mentioned, it's a joint webinar driven by Narwal and Tricentis. We have a long history of partnership for the last 8 years. One of the key areas where Narwal stand out when it comes to Tricentis products is data integrity and data quality. That's exactly today's topic. It's automated data quality, how to prevent costly BI reporting errors, right? So let me quickly introduce the team today who's going to drive the webinar. Of course, we have a special guest. That's a surprise. We will do it when that slide comes up. Okay, so my name is Arul Murugan Mani. I'm the Vice President and Global Head of Quality Engineering at Narwal. Rob?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Rob Barduena. I'm the North America Sales Director for Data Integrity here at Tricentis, and happy to be here. Charles?
This is Charles Kong, QE architect for Narwal. Happy to see everyone join here. Thank you.
Thank you, team. So let me first quickly introduce Narwal, and then of course Rob will introduce Tricentis. But yeah, so from Narwal standpoint, we are 8 years in the business. We have been primarily started with the US as our market, but then we have now expanded to 5 different countries, including Canada, UK, Europe, and Mexico. Right? And we have a large offshore delivery presence in India as well. So we have served more than 50 plus customers. Mostly all those customers are rated as 4 out of 4 in their NPS score. And we are very value-driven organization. So we are hyper-focused on efficiency. If you look at automation is one of our strategic theme, and we look at making sure that customers achieve higher efficiency when it comes to automation. Like we have saved millions of hours of manual effort during our automation journey. So our key services, we are an AI, data, and quality engineering organization. Okay. So I lead the quality engineering practice. Similarly, we have other leaders who lead AI and data. So all these practices are interlinked. So when it comes to quality, data is important, and for AI, data quality is important. Okay. So the way we have offered the offering that we have for the market is very compelling, and we are focused across multiple industries. We started with payments, but then we have expanded to healthcare, telecom, retail, manufacturing. And we have a very strong partner ecosystem, all the cloud hyperscalers to the data lake providers like Snowflake, Databricks, and a lot of these automation providers, automation tool providers like Tricentis, Catalan, UiPath, right? So we have won a lot of awards and recognitions. We are we are fastest growing company in Cincinnati. We are based out of Cincinnati. We are also a Tricentis Partner of the Year for consecutive 5 years. And we are also part of the analyst rating with the Everest Group. So that's about Narwal. So Rob, why don't you talk about Tricentis?
Thank you, Arul. So founded in 2007, Tricentis is the leader in the software quality engineering space. Our platform provides a suite of solutions to elevate quality in software development, deployments, changes, and data quality. Our flagship product, Tosca, automates the testing of business-critical applications. Tosca's claim to fame was E2E and model-based testing that could support over 160 technologies off the shelf. Today, we have grown a lot. We have expanded our flagship product into a platform suite of products that includes load and performance, test management, AI augmented capabilities, and data quality, where we're going to be spending most of the time today. Globally, we have over 3,000 customers and have been recognized by some of the top analysts. But at the end of the day, we're a product company, and that's why we lean on our partner like Narwal to assure that our customers are successful. For more on the partnership, I want to bring in Raj to talk about more about that partnership.
Yeah, thank you, Rob and Narwal. Really appreciate it. My name is Raj Kanaparthi. I'm the founder and CEO of Narwal. I'll only take a couple of minutes, but I just want to give you a quick background about myself as well. All my life I was on the customer side, leading large applications, deliveries, large-scale transformations. Just about 10 years ago, I was head of QA, DevOps, engineering tools at large Fortune 500 company called WorldPay. And about 10 years ago, we've done Tricentis implementation when the project was, when the product was in a different state. Now product has advanced significantly from then with AI capabilities. At that time, we have implemented Tricentis products, Tasca, and then later Tasca DI, across from 40-year-old mainframe technologies to some of the latest and greatest cutting-edge technologies, be it cloud-based, portal-based, API-based applications. That was a huge success story at that time, and I went and spoke in a lot of industry events. I've realized that automation, while it's been there in the industry for 20 years, when I go talk to large Fortune 1000 companies, automation is barely there. With the vision of, I stepped out a well-paying job at that time. I also saw Tricentis growing quite a bit. Their product is great, and I have benefited from their product. I saw an opportunity to make a difference in the industry as everybody is sort of trying to do automation. So with the vision of, taking a step back, right? So as much as this technology has been there 20 years plus, if you go around and ask in the industry, barely companies are at 20% or less in the automation, sustainable automation, what I mean. And we have achieved 80% sustainable automation 10 years ago. And I saw an opportunity, and Tricentis is the same vision. So I stepped out, I quit my well-paying job and started Narwal just around Tricentis and to bring automation to multiple large companies. And with the vision of that 80% sustainable automation. Since then, obviously, we've helped many large companies like Nationwide Insurance, WorldPay, FIS, and we can go on CIBC, and there are many, many of them. Huge success stories. And also Tasca DI, I'll quickly talk about it, right? So data is, most companies implement test automation in the API and UI space, but then data is a whole different animal. Now, as you can imagine, with AI, in the AI world, data is exploding. Without proper data, you can't build good AI solutions. And data quality and data integrity is one of the biggest problems today. People cannot rely on data. And 10 years ago or 9 years ago, we've actually built Tasca DI, and I helped evolve the product at WorldPay. And we know this product really, really well. And it can help you in a matter of like a couple of hours, just validate end-to-end data automation, right? So, and we help large companies as well. And I'll quickly say what the key ingredients for data testing automation or data integrity, what are the key ingredients to get that right? First, because data testing is fundamentally different from UI testing and API testing. The companies should be really good, they should have people that are really good at automation in the first place. And they should know data really well. And then if you're implementing Tricentis, which has a great product, you need to know Tasca, Tasca DI. It's sort of a combination of knowing your data really well, knowing how to do automation, compare billions of rows from target to source and get that done in a matter of hours. And also, if you're implementing Tricentis Tasca, which is a phenomenal product, you need to understand Tasca DI really well, and Tasca goes along with it. And the reason Narwal is extremely successful, and we've been a partner of the year for the last 5 years in this space, is that data is one of our core pillars. We understand data. We build data ecosystems, cloud data, modern cloud data ecosystems. So that's our strength. And we understand automation. And we've been a partner with Tricentis, as you can, as I told you, like for the last 10 years. This is a unique combination that makes it extremely powerful. And of course, I'll let the team run through some case studies as how we made the difference. Specifically in BI, as the topic is today, by implementing Tosca DI, we found a defect that has been there for 10 years at one of the largest insurance companies that I just mentioned before, right? So the power of it is that very, very quickly you will be able to uncover defects that have been there and prevent some costly mistakes. So with that, I'll hand it over to you guys.
Thank you, Raj. Rob.
Thank you, Raj. So when we look at let's get into it. When we look at bad data, right? According to MIT Sloan, companies lose anywhere from 15 to 25% of their revenue due to data errors. That's real dollars lost. A lot of money is lost because of that, and that's simply because maybe it may be caused by typos or duplicates or missing fields or broken integrations, maybe bad metadata. You name it. There could be so many reasons why. But to help with that, we usually recommend to start by identifying your single biggest data leak. Maybe it's a misconfigured ETL job or an ungoverned third-party feed, or simply no one owns the metadata. Fix that and you'll recoup more than the cost of your intervention, right? That's what we like to say. So on the right side, you see the top 3 challenges organizations face. Too few resources to tackle data quality, or disorganized data stores with little or no searchable metadata. And the third one there, far too many data sources and no consistent way to stitch them together. Teams are usually firefighting, spinning up scripts, juggling spreadsheets, and still wrestling with what version of the data is true. When you bake those flaws into dashboards and machine learning models, you're baking in bias, blind spots, and business risk. Next slide, please. When we look at unstructured data, imagine opening your data lake only to find all these unstructured data you see there on the left, all dumped together with no indexing or schema enforcement. You can't write a simple SQL query against that mess. You end up manually poking around folders, guessing which file version is the most up to date, and then discovering that critical fields are all missing or mislabeled. Every new data feed becomes a mini crisis. So no consistency, no visibility, no confidence. With that, with lands in your lake matches when your business applications expect. The black hole of processing delivery, once that unstructured chaos hits your processing layer, you still have no reliable metadata catalog, so you can't automatically field definitions. Governance checks are manual spot checks at best, leaving huge gaps in coverage. As a result, your enterprise data warehouse, your reporting tools, your visualization dashboards, and all the AI pipelines all draw from the shaky foundation of the data that you just built there. So downstream teams spend more time chasing phantom data issues and less time on real analysis. Mysterious data gaps, unexplained mismatches, and surprise production incidents become the norm rather than the exception. So if we move on to the next slide, please. So we look at the journey of data as it gets before to the BI reporting, right? So the first step there, the pre-screening, this is really before a single byte hits your data or warehouse. You perform basic metadata and format checks. You're verifying that the incoming files declare the right schema, the dates are parsed correctly, and the required fields exist. Think of it as a passport control for your data. And then you look at data ingestion, right? And you look at, next up you land your raw feeds into a staging area. Here you capture the file level into timestamps, source systems, IDs, file sizes, and the record lineage metadata, so you know exactly where each record came from and when. This audit trail is crucial for a lot of the troubleshooting later. And we look at the next step there, the raw and staging warehouse. Now you move data into your enterprise warehouse raw zone, and your first set of planning checks. You look at the completeness test to catch missing rows, uniqueness test to spot duplicates, and referential integrity test to ensure child records have parent records. Fail fast, flag early, and fix downstream surprises, right? That's what we say here. So when we go on to the next step, once your raw data passes those checks, you apply transformation and aggregation logic. Calculate rolling totals and enforce value range. That's when you populate your data marks, which is important because that is where your analysts expect consistent, trusted dimensions and facts. Any slip here and every dashboard built beyond that is going to be suspect. And then after you do that, of course, we do a lot of what we call the reconciliation test. That's really behind the scenes. You have detailed source to target comparisons, field by field row counts, checks on validation, ETL logic verifications. These reconciliation scripts run on schedule to confirm that every transformation delivered is exactly what it had promised. And then if you look at the next step, the vital checks validate the source fields and make sure that everything matches up in the fields at the target. It tests for metadata, it tests for completeness, it tests for uniqueness, it tests for referential integrity. And then finally, if you look at the last stop there is the BI reporting. You finally flow into that report where at that point you want everything that's automated, right? Any smoke test, any spot checks, every key dashboard to verify that your latest data marts drive the right charts and alerts. As you can see there, it is a very high level of data quality checks that need to happen at every stage throughout the entire time, right? Because it can be complicated. One thing that doesn't work is trying to keep up at every stage and doing it manually, like it is in the next slide. Next slide, please. So what we notice when I talk to my customers is that doing a lot of the stare and compare between two screens, I've had customers who actually go out there and pull an Excel document from one data source, and they pull another Excel document from another data source, and then they start comparing both screens to find out where the error exists. Obviously, that is very manual. That is not automated, right? And also scripting. I've seen some customers do scripting that it's always hard to keep up as well. If we look at the next slide, that's where a tool where Tricentis data integrity comes in, right? This is the tool that as I was going through all the steps before, it does a lot of the end-to-end testing across the entire ecosystem of your data. And then we do it in a very automated state. So we move our customers from a manual SQL scripting to more of a scriptless model-based test automation. It covers a lot of the reconciliation and the validation tests that I was talking about before. It has an easy-to-use wizard so that anybody who is technical or non-technical can use this type of tool. And then it eliminates a lot of the manual testing of the data that I talked about before, like the stare and compare. It has the ability to work not only with any data sources, but it also has the ability to work with structured or unstructured data, message data, or even PDFs. So this is a tool that Tricentis has in its tool bag. But at the end of the day, this is the tool, and that's why we team up with our partners like Narwal, who will help make sure that our customers are successful. So next slide, over to you, Arul.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. What Rob has mentioned is the capabilities of the tool, right? So now with the tool alone will not solve the purpose. So we need to have an approach, which is an automation first approach, so that we are able to validate millions and billions of records in a shorter period of time and ensure that the reports that you are having will have the ultimate accurate reports. So I just want to talk about how this automation first approach works. And this is something for every customer that Narwal gets engaged. We will do a data quality assessment and see what are their quality gates. In this case, this is a reference architecture of a BI report, right? Power BI report. It could be any other tools as well. Like it could be Grafana, it could be Click or whatnot, right? But a typical report, whatever the incorrect data that you see in the report is just a symptom. Ideally, the root cause is somewhere else. It could be the data that is wrongly injected, the wrong data getting injected into the system. So in a typical Power BI landscape, you'll have the load and ingest through data flows. It could be Power BI's data flow connectors, or it could be third-party connectors. And then once the data lands into the raw layer where it gets stored in the data lake, and then you also have this data marts, or the data that is cleansed, transformed, and it is available in models, which is finally getting consumed by the Power BI, right? So now, how do we approach? How does Narwal approach for this particular testing? So we use a combination of Tasca and Tasca DI. The interesting part is Tasca and Tasca DI are tightly integrated. So the seamless integration helps us to do both UI layer testing with the report as well as the backend data validations. So when it comes to the vital checks, this is what Rob was also referring. So when the data gets ingested, we need to ensure that the metadata is complete, the uniqueness, nullness is also validated, and ensure that whatever is in the raw data in its form in the source should be present in the raw layer, right, as it is. So it's a lot of data. Every data needs to be compared for its correctness from the source and the raw layer. And that we can do it with DI. So DI has some predefined templates which we can take it and then customize it. So as Narwal, as we go and implement DI, so far we have done it for almost 25 to 30 customers. So we have built our own customized templates as well, along with whatever predefined templates that are given by Tricentis DI platform. So we have built those custom templates which can be customized for particular connectors, particular sources, and target systems. Okay. So once that vital checks are done, if there is a problem in the vital check, if the data is not having the right, it's not passing there, then we should pass the validation right there, and then make sure that the source team has to give the right data into the raw layer, right? So what happens is in reality, each one of these is done by different teams. So you are talking about a lot of siloness in this system, in the process, while you have technical integration, but people don't talk. And as a QA, as a data integrity quality engineer, Narwal will ensure that we work across all the different systems and the process owners and ensure that we are being that glue between the layers and making sure that we are supporting them, right? Sorry, I just go back. Yeah, so once the data is in raw layer, we have to do the field test, and where we make sure that the aggregation values, the formats, and all of that is checked. And when the data then moves into the process layer, where we will do these reconciliation reports. And so more importantly, the data in the process layer is your absolute cleaned, highly integrity data, which means that if you have done your vital checks and field tests properly, you will have a better data quality at the process layer. And that is what you are going to compare it with the report. Now, report will have certain graphs and tables and all of that complications. So how will Narwal address that? So we use Taska's capability, UI automation capability, to go and select the filters that are required in the report and extract the data into a CSV file and load that report data, which is already in CSV file, into the Tasca layer as a caching database. And then you also have the data in the process layer. We load that as well and then compare both the data and ensure that the report is actually representing the right data which is available in the process layer. Okay, so that's the kind of approach, and all of this is fully automated. We have done it multiple times in multiple customers. We start with an assessment. We understand what their current approach is. In 99%, those approaches are mostly stare and compare or partially automated, or some highly technical resource doing some kind of Python scripts to do all these queries and some building some utilities. So all of that is, in my view, is an inefficient way of doing things when you have an automation first approach and an end-to-end automation approach using this platform. Right? So now, what kind of data characteristics that we will look at? So we look at accuracy of the data, the structure of the data, right? Completeness. Is it really having the necessary details? Is it consistent? Every time you have a data load, is it consistent across the layers of the data journey? Timeliness, timestamps. Is it coming on time? And is it a current currency? If it is dollar, it's dollar. It's a pound. Right? And reasonableness and identifiability of the data. If the data is having some unique identity or not, right? Or is it a duplicate data that is getting loaded? So all of this, we look at these parameters as we ensure that the data quality is highly present when it goes into the reports. Now, let me talk about a couple of case studies. So this is one of our case study where we have implemented it long time back when Raj was talking about it, right? So this was our CEO when he was on the client side. He implemented this part of this large scale payment provider in US, and the results are phenomenal, right? So in this case, you have all this data coming from various data sources into a mainframe system. And from that mainframe system, it comes into a cloud-based data lake. And from there, it gets processed, massaged, and transformed. And then finally, it goes into various reports. So it's a very complex tech stack that is being available across the data journey. And while the tech stack is also complex, we need the tool, the data integrity, to provide support to, let's say, mainframe COBOL files, to cloud-based unstructured data files that are coming in, right? So all of that, the product has evolved over a period of time to provide all this support. And with all this end-to-end automation in place, we were able to increase the data quality coverage from 5% to 80%. Okay, that is 16 times improvement, and that literally reduced the spend on testing from by 40%, right? And the way the volume, the velocity of data, you can see that almost 200 million records getting validated in 20 minutes. So if there's a billion records, we can do that in a couple of days. Okay, so that's the quality and the velocity that we can achieve with the end-to-end automation first approach. And eventually, because of it is completely automated and it's in a pipeline, we were able to achieve the release cycles, increase the accelerated release cycles by 85%. Okay. And all of this is resulting due to 1,500 hours of savings every month compared to the manual efforts. So the next use case or the success story is for a insurance provider. Again, Raj talked about this insurance company as well. It's a pretty complex situation where the insurance provider is pulling or feeding a lot of data from various data sources. Again, from a technology stack standpoint, it might be different, but from an architecture standpoint, it still remains the same, because every customer goes through the same journey. You have sources, you ingest it, you transform it, and then you report it or use it in the downstream state. So from an architecture standpoint, it's the same, but the complexity is coming when it comes to the various technology stack and the type of data that needs to be validated, and the complexity of multiple rules and the transformation that is going through, which means that there are more and more validations that needs to be done on top of the data. And in fact, we are very proud to say that before Narwal, there are so many GSIs who actually failed in achieving this kind of output, right? 80% automation coverage, 50 million records in 10 minutes, right? And saving 2,000 hours in every month manual efforts. So Narwal, even though we were just a startup at that point in time, we were actually brought in to challenge what the large GSIs have been doing. And we came up with a robust solution, of course, with the help of Tricentis DI as a platform provider. And we were able to achieve this large scale transformation for our customer. And because of that, the reports that the customer is able to see, Raj pointed out that particular point, they were able to find bugs in the reports which are like sitting there for almost 10 years. Nobody ever thought that those bugs exist. So that's the kind of transformation and visibility this particular engagement has brought in for both Narwal as well as for Tricentis. So now you have heard all these case studies and our approach. We want to show you a quick demo of a 3 minutes demo of how you can typically do this in real time using a dummy application, okay, a sample application. So Charles, why don't you show this? I'll run the demo. It's a video demo. Yeah, Charles, please go ahead.
So this is a sample demo. It's going to be only 3 minutes. Basically, it runs through 2 test cases, where one is by validating the filter, and one is by having multiple scenarios on the single state multiple city data validation, and utilize the test template from Tasca. So let's start with the first one. So I'm gonna run this test case. So you can only see the front application because that's the Power BI. And once this runs, it's actually have few seconds in the backend to run the Tasca DI parts, which validating the data where we download. As you can see, we're actually extracting the data from the Power BI. And then once the extraction is complete, it's actually gonna, just like Arul and Rob mentioned, we're gonna do the ingestion to basically get the data into our catching database, and then do the validation against our actual data source, or in the real time, it's like a data lake. In our case, it's another kitchen database. And you see that after the UiPath is done, it's actually taking like 2 seconds to complete. So you see a failure, but don't be scared because the failure is expected. As you can see then, the failure shows that there is one issue with the multiple extraction we have done for that particular Power BI report. It catch the error between like a 2,900 records in just like a second, and it can show you with the report with all the details. So this is just how powerful this can be. And let's just run another test case. And this one will be a little bit more complex because the previous one, we didn't do much on the UI part. It's just like a simply extracting the, front data and, download and complete. So this is show you like how typical manual testing is when you apply multiple complex filter on your report itself and to extract different data sets and to make sure of course, compare to our process layer to make sure that the data we are displaying in our reporting is exactly matching what we were having as a true source in our processing layer. So again, this will also be like kind of extraction process. The only difference is this will be a little bit more complex. So the previous one takes about 20 to 30 seconds. This one takes about close to 2 minutes. But as you can see, most of the time, the time-consuming part is actually from the UI part, because you have to go through the application, go through the Power BI report to apply the filter and to extract the data and all that. That takes time. But as you can see, we have downloaded like 4 or 5 different CSV file as a data extraction. And then once this is done, as soon as you can see the UI application has been closed, and instantly, you don't see that happens because it's happening in the backend, but there's actually 6 files has been compared, and then there's 6 report being generated, and it's showing in our downloaded report. So those are the file being downloaded, which you can use as reference if there's any issue found. And then there's automatically report generated, as you can see, from Task.di to show you how the result from your execution being either pass or fail. So this is a short demo just to demonstrate how we use Task.di for our report testing. Not going to be a long demo because, like I was mentioning, most of the things, the validation comparison happens in the backend, and it's like very quick. It's like since we don't have much records, it's like a 2,900 per file, right? It's like a few thousand records per file. It's add up to like maybe like 100,000 or something like that. Those can be validated in a matter of like a few seconds. So if you just trying to scale it up to millions records or billions records, you can still get those things done in like a couple of hours or even a couple of days. So thank you for watching the demo. To you, Aru.
Yeah, thank you, Charles. This has been quite interesting. So how do we help, right? So how do we do this? So as I said, we start with data quality assessment because that's how we baseline what are the current challenges, where do they stand, right? What are the objectives that customer wants to achieve, and who are the stakeholders who can give the right information about the problems and the pain points in the data across the life cycle, right? And then we go through this exercise of doing an baselining of all these understanding that we have, talking to people, the various types of metrics that are being measured. What is that North Star metric that everybody wants to achieve? And what are those types of reports that are getting generated? Where are the source systems? All of that we do a deep dive and come up with a baseline report of all the problems that the organization currently have, and then work with the stakeholders who are sponsoring this data quality initiative to understand what are their objectives in terms of how they want their target state to be defined, right? And what kind of accuracy levels or report metrics that they want to achieve. And we define that as the target state report. And then we analyze both and come up with our recommendations and also a roadmap with quick hits, short-term roadmap, and also the long-term roadmap. So mostly the quick hits are like a couple of weeks or a couple of days, we should be able to show a big progress, which actually generates a lot of interest among the senior stakeholders in the organization to see that, okay, there's a value in improving the data quality. And you can see that right now. And then the short terms are the ones that are in a quarter or maximum a 2-quarter cycle, where you see a significant improvement in terms of the reports, the accuracy of the reports, and the business should be able to start appreciating at that point in time, hey, we have seen a difference after putting a data quality assessment and data quality team in place with the data integrity as a tool. And finally, the long term is where you do the continuous improvements and addressing those larger problems which are having structural problems within the journey of the data and how to fix them. So in summary, we are in the final stage of the webinar, and this is a final slide, and we are happy to open up for more questions. But in summary, whatever the reports that you see, that's the report that the leadership consumes to make decisions. And if there are errors in the reports, that leads to a significant impact to the business. And the reports, the errors in the reports are just symptoms, right? Those are not the real problems. The real problems or the root causes are behind the reports throughout from the source to the report, the journey of the data, right? And that even gets more and more complex because of the unstructured nature of the data, the velocity of the data, and the volume of the data, right? So, and the transformation that it has to go through, and the complexity of all these pipelines and the data ops and all of that needs to help. And data quality should be embedded into a CI/CD model across this entire thing. And that's where DA as a platform has a lot of capabilities, and it also has the right level of predefined templates and checks that helps us to do whatever is required from a data validation standpoint. And with Narwal's track record of implementing this for multiple customers over the last 5 to 8 years, we have demonstrated that we can increase the data coverage, data integrity, and data quality coverage from somewhere from 5% where the customer stands most of the times to 90%, right? And also because of that high quality across the layer of the data, we are able to significantly reduce BI reporting errors by 75%. Still, there'll be some errors, and that's where you have these operations and making sure that we understand the root cause. So I just want to highlight one here, but yeah, so that's the overall summary about automated data quality and how to avoid this costly BI errors, and how to improve the organizational brand in the market, right? So that's about it. I'll happy to take any questions. And Ganesh, over to you to facilitate any questions.
Thank you, Arul, Charles, and Rob for such an enlightening session. I think we have more than 6 questions over here, but I don't know how many will be answered. But rest assured, we will share all the responses with you if we are not able to answer a specific question. So I'll request Arul to judge whoever can answer a particular question, but I'll read out the question. So one of the question is, how should enterprises prioritize which BI pipeline or data domain to automate first?
So that's a great question. I can answer it, right? So which one to automate first, right? So which one has the most business impact, right? So BI reports, again, you have tons of reports, tons of dashboards, and each one of that, each business unit might have their own pipeline and their own reports. So which one is actually impacting your top line, and which one is most critical for the business, for your leadership to be concerned about, right? For example, sales growth. So sales growth numbers that could be actually coming in a report is very, very important. Anything that is wrong in that will have a huge impact on not only on the leadership, but also on the reporting that they do to the investors and to the public. So it's about business prioritization. I don't think a technical team can say, okay, this is what is important for you. But yeah, what is important for the business, and that's what the most important that we need to take and prioritize and solve the problem. Manish.
Thank you. I hope this answers the query. So the second question is, how scalable is the automation when data volumes grow by 2x or 5x in real time?
Yeah. So, Rob, do you want to take that question, or how do you want to do it? So from a scalability standpoint.
Yeah, go ahead first, and I could follow up with it.
Okay. Yeah. So scalability is absolutely the demo that Charles showed in a very simple application, some 2,500 records in a second. Okay. So the automation approach is still the same, and that can be done in batches. Let's say you have 1 billion records that are coming in over a period of, let's say, a couple of days. You can actually run it in a parallelized, distributed, agentic based model where you can split it by batches and do all this record validations in parallel. Thereby, you can achieve significant coverage in a very short period of time. So DI has this infrastructure or the architecture built in where you can do that parallelly in a distributed, in a remote manner. And with Narwals, we have implemented it in many places. As I said, we have done 1 billion records in a week. Okay, so that means you can see the scale of processing that has happened over a period of time. And of course, Rob, I would like to hear from you as well from a product capability standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that answer. Also, I would say that the key is having the right solution that is built for high volume data. If we look at Tricentis data integrity, if we look at the reconciliation part of it, right, we have customers who are doing a tremendous amount of reconciliation. We have one customer who is in the financial industry who does a lot of what we talked about before, the pre-screening, the vital checks, the row-by-row comparisons. And we have this customer doing 200 million values in 20 minutes. So that's 200 million values in 20 minutes. So as you could tell, that's a very high amount of reconciliation. We have another customer who's in the retail space. They were doing a lot of reconciliation as well. They did 30 columns and 1.8 million rows in about 2.5 minutes. So they would have able to compare source to target comparisons at a very fast rate. So data integrity is a tool that can help you with that for sure.
Yeah. And just to add a point there, Manish. Yeah.
Here, I can add to it. Some of I think the case studies that we mentioned there were some years ago. The product has evolved quite a bit. Now that you can do billions of rows like in hours, basically you do it overnight. You come in the morning, the current data landscapes are like, huge data lake house. It's a real-time data is flowing constantly. And constantly it's being validated in billions of rows. Really, the speed and scale is not at all an issue. Tricentis has proven to scale to multi-billion values in a real-time environment.
Yeah. And just to add there, right, Raj, so on the other hand, alternatively, I've seen companies looking at using their own custom-built solutions, which actually compares data, but those custom solutions have challenges in scaling. So to this particular question, scaling is a very important attribute while we choose the right platform for this exercise. So custom solutions that we build probably will work for small scale data sets, but when it comes to large scale, high velocity, real-time data validation, they kind of struggle to achieve the expectations that are needed in terms of scalability.
Yeah, one thought I'll share and we can go to the next question. See, this is where in today's AI world, data has become critical. And if you are dealing with a large data volumes, I think that's where you need to have a product like Tricentis. Companies have done when the scale and volume is low, they have resorted to sort of solutions that works for the time being, right? So now the world is changing and the volumes are growing. And then you need to have the right product which can scale. And that's where we can, I would say Tricentis is the product that I know of. I can't think of any other product that can scale to the volumes that I've seen.
All right, thank you very much. The next question is, are there any industry-specific regulations where data quality automation has proven to be a game changer?
Every industry, for example, banking, right? There are regulations, and the data validation. One of the business driver for data validation to the level of depth that we need to validate to ensure. Of course, the report is one part, but the industry, one of the biggest driver is the regulation. Okay, so insurance industries to the banking industries, there are heavy regulations that are in place. And in fact, in life sciences and healthcare, you have HIPAA regulations, PI data masking, and data identity is also a thing that we need to, of course, DA doesn't do a data masking, but that is are all regulation requirements. And when you do that, you still have to again test it. You have to ensure that this data, whatever you mask, is actually masked rightly. You're not leaking personal and information. And that's where every record needs to be validated between the source and the target, whether it is rightly masked when it actually gets transformed. And yes, so big driver, business driver is regulation. Rob, you want to add anything, any other industry that you want to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, right? So when you look at highly regulated industries like finance or healthcare, right? Automated data quality checks have been a game changer for them. So for example, like in healthcare, automation helps maintain a lot of the accurate records for Medicare and Medicaid type of reporting. And that directly impacts compliance and reimbursements, right? If you look at the finance industry, it's critical for them to meet a lot of the regulations. So where data's traceability and accuracy are a must. So most definitely having that level of data accuracy and quality is very important in many industries.
Yeah. Raj, you want to
add one example, I'll say that I've heard this from many people in Tricentis and some of our customers. During COVID time, it has become very, very critical to speed to market on the drug. As we all know that pharma companies competed to who wants to get the drug out there. It's a huge business opportunity, right? And there are certain that that have not been able to make it. Some of the, I won't name the companies, they were close. If they had the right speed there, it could have been a multi-billion, not multi-billion, it's tens of hundreds of billions of market they've lost, and on top of it, reputational and stuff, right? So this is glaringly came on such a big topic at that time, and companies then started focusing more on, okay, you know what, I want to make sure that I want to be my clinical trial data. When you talk specific industry data, and if it had been done faster, analyzed faster, they would have been just in a few days ahead or months ahead, and then won the marketplace, right? So in the banking, there is a bunch of regulations, SOX, FFIEC in banking, and even in insurance, there is regulations that all of this data need to be validated and that goes out. For example, in every industry, you have to submit compliance reports. You have to file. When you file, if you file with the wrong data, then it goes back and forth. It's all time wasted. One. First is the speed. Second is that the efficiency and the usage.
Thank you very much, Raj. I think the next question is more of a business driven question. So what's the average ROI enterprises can expect when switching from manual QA to automated data validation?
So
I'll take this one if I can,
sure.
because I was a customer. I was the head of QA, as I said, and I go ask for money, and my CIO gets, okay, where is ROI, right? So this is a question I think all of you can relate. I mean, I've been in the industry now 25, 30 years. I've seen all kinds of software from mainframes to client server to, obviously cloud to automation to now we're on the AI data and AI age, right? Of all these journeys, I can, without a question, say the most ROI is test automation. It's very, very simple, right? So imagine manually testing, in a particular individual can maybe test, let's say, in a 1 month, 160 hours, maybe about 150 to 250 test cases. that can be done in 10 minutes or less in automation. I have personally demonstrated, Charles was part of my team at that time. We have run 25,000 test cases, unattended, automated every night. And the next morning we come in and look at the dashboard. Okay, there are 20 critical applications, number of test cases run, number of test cases passed, number of test cases failed. Then you go check the failures, whether there's false positives or what. Such a powerful thing. If to do that, it's a millions of dollars manually. So the ROI is not 10%, 20%, 100%. It's many, many 1,000%, right? But it goes back to how you implement it. This is why I'm very, very passionate about automation. That's how in Narwal we care about this, and we want to show customers what you can accomplish. Basically, you can take 1 month of testing period to basically less than a day. We have demonstrated automation first, and testing should be complete when development should be complete. You can essentially, so the ROI question here, again, I'll conclude this, is that it's not just incremental, it's not beyond incremental, it's beyond exponential, and we can show you that.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that. Here at Tricentis, it's we know that when we talk to customers, it gets harder and harder for them really to justify these types of purchases when they're looking at tools and services, right? But at the end of the day, this is a very common step for us. We call it a value cloud, where we come up with a 3-year ROI analysis of what it's going to look like really when we move one of our customers from a manual state to more of an automated state. And normally, in my experience, what I see that the ROI returns tend to be somewhere around 200 to 400% in the first 2 to 3 years. And that's really because a lot of the automation drastically cuts down on the time, on the errors, and then the resource costs while improving the data quality and speed to market. So it's a tremendous amount of ROI that we're seeing customers receive by automating everything.
Okay, thank you, Rob. I think the next question is again around business impact. So how can, of course, can poor data directly impact executive decision, right? Poor data integrity impact executive decision making and business outcomes. And do we have any examples to share?
So Rob, you want to go?
Yeah. Yeah, I could take that. I mean, that's really the basis of today's conversation, right? We have a lot of customers who are using some type of reporting tool like Tableau or Power BI. There's many of them out there, right? And obviously, a lot of executive decisions are being made based on the outcomes of those dashboards and reports, right? So because poor data integrity within those dashboards really mess up an executive decision. If the data is wrong or incomplete, leaders might end up basing their big choices like where to invest or how to respond to risk on false information. And all this could lead up to missed opportunities, wasted money, or even compliance issues. So basically, bad data means bad decisions. And all of that starts not at the end where the data is being shown, but all the upstream, where all the data sources, where all that data is coming from. So that's a great question, in my opinion.
Thank you, Rob. We have, I think, 2 questions left, and we also have 5 minutes to go. So we'll just finish it off quickly. How can business and IT teams align better to manage data quality and cross-functional initiatives?
Yeah, Ganesh, so I'll take that. So this is an implementation thing, right? So when it comes to tool, yes, tool has great capabilities. But then who is actually going to use a tool? There are multiple teams in this data journey, right? So right from source to the report, I would say there are at least 5 to 6 teams that are involved. And most of the times these teams just look for the input that is coming in, they do their job and then give that output, right? They don't bother how the upstream is actually building that input. They don't bother how the downstream is actually consuming that output. So that's where most of the problems are also. When you work in silos, lack of communication, lack of understanding of how the upstream and downstream is going to consume or produce, then that's where naturally all these bugs are coming in place. So quality engineering is very critical. When it comes to functional testing, people understand quality is necessary for an application's functionality. But when it comes to data, still there is a lot of lack of awareness. I would say people think that the data engineers who are actually building the pipelines or processing the data are responsible, and they will do a good job in actually finding and fixing those errors. But that is something what we have seen again and again is that is something not true. So you need an independent validation. You need a data quality engineer who can actually look at the data with fresh eyes, with using the tools like Tricentis, Tasca, DI, is able to actually do this validation in a much faster manner and give that feedback back to the data engineers or whatever the team that is going to play with the data at that particular point in the time, to give the data feedback and fix the data on time. Okay, so that's the important aspect of data quality engineering organization, and I would say most organizations are realizing it, and as we see more and more data and AI being adopted, there is an awareness getting created that okay, data quality is now a big problem, and that's because customers don't see AI output as a very accurate, right? So typically, even with good data, AI output will be probably around 80 to 90% maximum. Now with bad data, it will go down very soon, right? It will come to 40%, 30%. And all these investments customers are making in terms of building these AI use cases are actually not yielding the necessary ROI because of all these problems. And data quality engineering is a must, and it should be a standard strategic enabler to achieve the goals of this particular data quality.
Thank you, Arun. Since we are talking about quality, we are talking about automation, we are talking about ROI, we are talking about efficiency, I think the webinar has finished exactly on time. We have been very efficient with the time. It was a great webinar. I thank you for joining us, everyone. We appreciate your time and engagement in today's webinar on how to prevent costly BI reporting errors. We hope the insights from Narwal and Tricentis gave you valuable takeaways to enhance your data integrity, data quality and BI reporting. Feel free to reach out if you would like to continue that conversation, or reach out to us through mail or through our website. Thank you very much again for joining. We'll all sign off.
Thank you, everybody. It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.